What's going on, fallible investors? AK here, and today we're going to talk about black swans. We're going to analyze exactly why Natalie Portman got so damn freaky in that crazy movie. I'm kidding. That's a different black swan. And I actually never saw that movie because movies like that make me too anxious and I start sweating a lot. And no one likes that guy who's overly sweaty and breathing hard for no reason. But anyway, what we're actually gonna do is learn about black swan theory, which the famous author and quant trader Nassim Taleb made popular. And once you understand this black swan concept, you'll be able to protect yourself from the most dangerous market events. And I'm talking about the kind of market events that wipe out people's life savings and force them to start over from zero. You're gonna be able to avoid the pain and disgust that comes from those disasters. And you won't have to stay glued to your screen watching every tick in the market to do it either. Okay, so first thing we gotta do is define what a black swan is. A black swan is a highly improbable event. The reason we use this phrase is because back in the 2nd century, way before Natalie Portman, people thought black swans didn't exist, only white ones. Basically, everybody was a swan racist. Seeing a black swan was thought to be so rare that it was basically impossible. Now there's 3 characteristics that define a black swan. First, it has to be unpredictable. Second, it has a massive impact. And third, after it happens, everyone tries to come up with some type of explanation for it to make it seem like it wasn't random and could have been predicted. One example of a black swan event is the 9/11 terrorist attack. First, no one could have predicted it. Second, it completely changed the world by sparking the war on terrorism. And third, in retrospect, most people thought it could be prevented and predicted if we had better security. And of course, the stock market took a big hit during this time too, which is why in markets, if you're not prepared for a black swan, then you're gonna end up losing a lot of money. But the question is, how can you prepare if these events are unpredictable? Well, keep watching because I'm gonna tell you exactly how to do that. The first thing you gotta realize is that your predictions and forecasts are not foolproof. No matter how much you study the markets and how much you think you know, there's always gonna be unknowns that you gotta deal with. And not only will there be unknowns, but there'll even be unknown unknowns. So you're not even gonna know all the stuff that you don't know. And in a complex system like the markets, there tends to be a lot of these. If you don't accept this, you're gonna keep being surprised when the impossible happens. Now, the reason everyone tries to explain black swans after they occur and try to say they were predictable is because of their ego. Nobody likes admitting that they don't know everything. It's pretty uncomfortable to actually admit that we're ignorant about a lot of stuff. And this is especially true for the so-called experts. They base their whole self-image on being a master of their domain, which is why they think they should be able to predict everything and not be surprised. So they tend to hold on real tight to their forecasts, become real close-minded, and then get blown out when a black swan swims their way. So really the first step to protect yourselves from these black swans is to admit that you don't know and can't predict everything. And that's okay. You can still be successful in the market. There's no reason to feel bad and try to fight it. That's just your ego talking. But of course, controlling your ego is easier said than done, which is why in future videos we'll be talking about how to conquer your ego so you can make more money in the stock market. So make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that bell so you get notifications of when those videos come out. Okay, so to be successful in the market, even when you don't know everything, you've got to be able to make your strategy robust. You got to build it in a way so that you survive even if a black swan event happens. So for example, something really simple you can do to protect yourself against black swans is to only invest 80% of your portfolio into the market. Then you keep the other 20% in cash. And yeah, this is gonna lower your returns because you're not gonna be deploying your full capital. But say a black swan does happen, and for some crazy reason all your equity positions go to zero, well, instead of being dead and out of the market, you'll still have 20% of your portfolio to scoop up the crazy deals you're gonna find. Another example of this type of thinking is that huge vol blow up from earlier this year. In the macro ops portfolio, we were actually selling vol during that time, but we made it out just fine. And that's because we were fully aware of the craziness that could happen in that space, and that we probably wouldn't be able to predict it or protect against it. Knowing this, we sized our positions accordingly. We were willing to risk 20% of our portfolio and were fine losing that if VIX blew up. The people who got screwed were the ones who thought a blow up was so unlikely that it just wouldn't happen. So they sized too big and ended up paying for it. Taleb suggests using a barbell strategy to actually take advantage of black swans. And what he means by that is that instead of putting your money in medium risk, medium return investments, which in reality you don't actually know their full risk because of prediction errors and then of course black swans, instead what you should do is put 90% of your money in extremely safe investments like treasuries and then use the other 10% to put it in extremely risky investments like venture capital. You can see how that starts to look like a barbell. So the goal is to stay as far away from the middle as possible. And that way you don't gotta worry about risk management and some random event blowing you up. And you're actually exposing yourself to positive black swans by being in the venture capital space where finding the next Google is just as rare. So once you accept that black swans are possible, you can structure your strategy to account for them. Sure, you may be more conservative, but that's worth it to avoid the crash that crushes everyone else. So tell me, have you made your portfolio robust enough to survive black swans? If so, how'd you do it? Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that bell so you get notifications of new videos. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.